last till the sunrise? One night, can we last till the sun? One night, can we last till the sunrise? One night, can we last till the sunrise? One night, can we last till the sun? One night, can we last till the sunrise? One night.
Hey folks, how you doing? Got a great session for you today. Here's what the scenario is. A lot of people want to come to Africa. They want to come to the continent. Great idea. However, they're thinking they're going to get a job or they're going to start a business and they're just going to rake in buku bucks or something like that. And it's a little bit more complicated than that because in terms of jobs, well, the dollar is going to be, the US dollar is going to be stronger, as well as the British pound and other things. So even if you were to find a job, it's not going to pay what you probably had hoped it would. As a matter of fact, if I were the king running a particular area, I would make sure my people were taken care of first, such that I would not necessarily employ people who are from other areas, foreigners coming in. So that's characteristic of many countries. So there's the job scenario. In terms of starting a business, you really need to already have started a business. You really need to have actually had something underway and rolling. That way you can keep augmenting it, enhancing it while you're here. And starting one when you get here may show that perhaps that wasn't your niche anyway, because otherwise you would have had a business already underway. It's not impossible to start a business. Just saying, for those who have already exercised that muscle, it's just a continuation of what they've already done. So kudos to those folks. There is the option of investments. That's something to think about. So all we're trying to do is enhance your perspectives, enlarge them, give you an idea of other opportunities and other ways to go about increasing income. So we'd like you to consider this and hope you enjoy this session. Thank you very much. Well, we just want to welcome you gentlemen here today to talk to us about Harmony Village 100. Welcome to both of you, Dave and Chris. Could you tell us a little bit about yourselves?
Hey, you want to go first? Yeah, I'll go first. My name is David Franklin from Detroit, Michigan. I invest in real estate in the state of Michigan. I also invest in agriculture here on the continent of Africa.
And I'm Christopher Franklin. David is my brother. And I have a mechanical engineering background. And we've been into businesses on our own back home for 20 plus years. And our main business now is real estate and investing on the continent of Africa. So that's what we're doing, moving forward with that.
That's excellent. Okay, so you're from Detroit, Michigan area, you're saying, and you've done a lot of investing there and starting various businesses, because I did a little bit of homework and saw where you guys had started some things, like you had a business for the state of Michigan, I think, and lands.
Well, yeah, that's the capital of Michigan, so that's where you register the business at. So we never had a business in Lansing, Michigan, though.
Oh, I meant landscaping.
Oh, landscaping, yes. Yeah, sure,
Mm-hmm.
sure. So as far as our landscaping business, we started it in 1998?
No, 1999.
1999.
Okay.
And we started off with residential homes, and we went from there to commercial, and we actually landed a big contract with a prominent cell tower company, communications company in Michigan, and we ended up landing a contract to do all of the towers in Michigan, and that consisted of 777 towers. So that was, we had a crew of, I believe it was 14 at the time, and we would go all around the state. We would actually stay gone for 2 weeks, traveling the state, and then we would come home and do the local areas for those final 2 weeks. And that was back and forth. And we did that for, I believe, 5 or 6 years. until that came to an end. And how it came to an end, because the company, that the communications company, was taken over by another company, and everything just went haywire, and they just revamped their whole system. So we went back to residential and continued it from there.
That's an excellent story. And if I recall right, you really challenged yourself to even make that decision to go after that type of business. Because if I recall, you started by looking for others, and then one of you said to the other, we could do this ourselves, or something like that. Could you talk about that a little?
Well, how it actually started was I used to work for the company. I was a site manager, and my main job was to when the lights went out on these towers, get the light fixed. If the computer system went out, call contractors to fix the computers. The grass needed cutting. So my main job was to call contractors to get the work done. So this one particular day, I had maybe 500 towers that I needed to have the grass cut, and I'm raking my brain, calling all over the state, calling this city, that city, trying to get it done. And my brother was over my house at the time. He said, "Man, what are you doing?" And I'm like, "I got over 500 towers I need to have cut, and I'm calling contractors to do it." And he just gave the idea, "Man, we can do this ourselves." So I hung the phone up and we talked, and the rest is history.
Yeah, our family is kind of business-oriented family. Like my dad and my uncles. Back in the city of Detroit, I had an uncle that owned the Dairy Queen on the east side. My other uncle owned the Dairy Queen in Midtown. So it's like everyone in our family is kind of driven by business. We have a long line of business owners. So I think that kind of was instilled in us, not intentionally by my dad, because he actually did retire from a company. But I think just from us being around our uncles, it was one of those things that was instilled in us, programmed unconsciously. So
that's a beautiful thing. I don't have that in my background, in my family.
Okay.
And I appreciate that you gentlemen bring that to the families to be able to consider, because that's some chances that you took, but you also have this pedigree that sets you up to try to look at things from a business orientation point of view.
Yeah.
And to consider them. So I really appreciate you bringing that up.
Okay.
So now you've got this opportunity here, and that's how I've been referring to it. Is that okay?
Yes, sure. Yes.
Harmony Village 100.
Yes.
And I understand it's at harmonyvillage100.com, and we're going to put that in the verbiage and the link and so forth.
Okay.
Can you begin to tell me about how that was conceived? How did that begin to begin? What is the origin story?
Well, the origin story behind that is me, my brother, and I, and two other guys. We were all in an investment group, and we put in for a business loan, and we got denied. And we couldn't figure out why they denied us, because we all have 750 plus credit scores, all decent jobs, and they never gave us a reason why they denied us. And we spent 2 weeks getting all our house titles together and deeds, just getting the stuff together. So, it kind of blew our minds. So I just started looking for other investment opportunities, and Africa just kept coming up. And once I did my research into Africa, all the important categories such as leadership, infrastructure, ease of doing business, safety, security, Rwanda was always at the top of that list. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Consistently, the only country. So that's how I ended up here in Rwanda. And once I finally got here, I just got on their Facebook pages, all the business pages, contacting companies. And I got a couple guys that called me back and met with them. They showed me their contracts, and I couldn't believe it. I'm like, who offers 30, 40, 50% yearly returns? So okay, I'm going to take a chance. And signed my first contract, got paid again, and the rest is history. And I told my brother, I'm like, man, these guys are paying. We got to get into this, And he said, man, ain't no way they paying these returns. this was before I actually got paid.
Yeah.
I said, bro, I think they're serious, because I went down to the RIB, I went down to the Agriculture Board, I went down to the Rwanda Development Board, just to research these companies. And man, these guys were 100, and I made my investment, and and we're here today.
Your transparency, Dave, I really am grateful for that, because you're telling us your credit score, what it was like, and the frustration, the pain you went through, which we can all, not in starting a business per se, but come on, we know the pain of trying to get something at the bank trying to get that loan for whatever it is. It could just simply be a car for some of us or a house.
Right.
And you're trying to do something in a business, which sets us up for a mind shift. But I also appreciate that you experienced some pain along the way. One of the things that I think is important is sometimes somebody who's not experienced any kind of pain, hasn't gotten their jersey dirty, hasn't been on the field, you know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
That's you don't want that person on your team. You don't want to partner with that person. I want somebody who's been through something and can share their experiences. But so you were telling Chris about the opportunity and you were tripping because the returns.
Yeah, and like we had a conversation earlier, you and I did actually, and Dave and Marlene. So about our mindset, you know, we are so conditioned to believing that the 10% is all that we can get, or the 12%, just because of where we're from. So when you come and see an opportunity like this here in Africa, it's almost like we got a saying, you know, too good to be true. If it sounds too good to be true, it probably is. And we've been battered with that, you know, that for so long that it becomes ingrained in us. So now we're very skeptical, and we make the mistake of procrastinating on certain opportunities that are great, you know? So, so we just seen another side of the coin. Once I got here, after he told me, I looked into it. And I'm a guy with a mechanical background, with a numbers background. You can't just tell me anything. I have to see it, you know? So I used my own money, and I came here, and Dave had already did his homework, but I drug him back to the RDB, to the agricultural board, you know, and I wanted to see these companies, their credentials. We looked at UPI numbers to make sure they actually owned the land that they were claiming that they owned, and everything was there in black and white. And several of them get government subsidies. And you know, here in Rhonda, you know, we have Rhonda, I said we, I don't put myself here.
It is we, go ahead.
Yeah, so here they have a zero tolerance policy for corruption and stuff like that. So when you start signing these contracts with people, and these people are in the bed with the government already, you know, it's not an option for them to default on that without somebody's hands getting slapped, you know?
Okay, say that again for the people in the back row.
Okay.
Does corruption, speak to that again now?
Oh, I was saying the corruption here in Rhonda is a zero tolerance for corruption. So yeah, like I said, once I found out that the government was giving funding for these companies to advance, I felt very safe putting my money there. You know?
I'm glad you put it that way, because in my mind, I'm thinking that some folks are looking for safety and security. That's a lot of times the first thing that people are looking for before they can go on to higher things in their lives. And I know that people would have concerns, skepticisms, and things like that. All right, so you talked about the individuals or organizations that might have relationships already with the government. And how did you build partnerships, or how did you find them at the ground level? What was that like, and what are they like?
Okay, you want to start? Okay. Okay. So we have 3 liaisons here on the ground. The one guy, his name is Joseph, and this is his job. His job is to find people from abroad, because our dollar is worth more here. So I guess the agricultural companies here are seeking for people abroad so they can get that USD into their hands and grow. So we got a guy named Joseph, and that is his job, to find investors. And they're on social media. So we got with Joseph, and Joseph begins to give us these leads. So then we take those leads and we follow up on them, and we use Joseph as the front man because of the language barrier and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So Joseph is the most prominent liaison that we have here. We have 2 others, but with the 3 of them, I mean, they're just throwing leads at us all day. And it's like, once you get into the agricultural sector around here, you know, then the garlic man tends to know the chili man, and the chili man tends to know the quinoa man, you know. So it's like, once you're in there, you know, you have a further reach, you know, to the different other agricultural companies who are looking for investing, you know. So yeah, that's basically it.
What are the characteristics of a good partnership when Joseph brings something to you? What's a winner, a blue chipper look like to you?
What a blue chipper look like to us is basically seeing their facilities, seeing how they're getting ready to set up everything, and just seeing how everything is running, and just seeing the everyday operations.
Are you speaking of their processes and systems like that?
Yeah, everything as a whole.
Yeah, because we had two companies. One actually that we visited on this time, and one last time. You know, they were able to talk a good game, and they took us out and showed us land and fields. But we like to see buildings. We like to see physical, tangible equipment. We like to see employees outside at break time, so we can know that this is a viable company, and you're not just taking us to somebody else's field where stuff is growing. So once they give us the full tour, and we can see the ladies out there working, we can see their storehouses, we can see their machines, and that's a blue chipper for me. If I can physically see, and I can see your name, you know, across your building and stuff like that, you know, that gets me, because I know they're running an operation that's viable and that's working.
Very well. Thank you. That helped me to see what you're talking about. Yeah. So are we at a place, and correct me if we're not, where we can begin to shift? Because let's say you have application paperwork for me as an investor, and to be partner with Harmony Village 100 to be able to link up with these organizations and to make my contribution. So I'm looking for the flow. I receive an application package, and I think I saw on there I need to get it notarized. So because I'm international, I'm gonna have to do it
remote,
virtual.
Yes.
Okay, which is possible. So that's not an excuse for me not to get that done, because I've done a virtual. What is that called? Notary.
Yeah.
Notary. Yeah. So the deal is, you mentioned in there, there's cycles that maybe I need to submit my money by the 1st of the month or something like that?
By the 15th of the prior month.
Okay.
And the reason we do it like this, we can submit contracts any day, and the contract will begin that day. But we have so many people coming aboard, we don't want to burden our partners here with so much paperwork. I'm calling them, okay, if I get you to come on and you give me $1, and I call them and say, hey, I want to submit $1 to you. I need a contract, you know? So what we do is we let people come on for a month, and then we'll take that and do that. You know, we'll allocate it to the different companies as we see fit, you know? So
is it okay if I call that a batch mode? Put in batches and bundles and then move it forward? Because that, otherwise it wouldn't make sense. It constantly
just overwhelming paperwork. So I tell you, the reason why we have people go through us, and there's several reasons. First off, everybody back home, no one's going to send money to Africa. You know, they say they will, but if I give them the contact information, they'll sit on it and they won't do anything with it. Second reason is we started off like that. You know, we gave, I want to say probably a dozen people, you know, contact information. And the people are calling, and the language barrier, and it just got overwhelming for them. And we were told by both of these companies, don't give our information out. You know, if someone wants to invest, they must go through you, because the battery of questions, and then, like I said, the language barrier, it just wasn't feasible, because we never want to be the middleman for this project. We wanted to come in, invest all of our money, and then pass the idea on to everybody else. But people were getting shot down, and then we got 2 calls saying, stop it, you know, stop giving our number out. We only want to deal with you. So we didn't want to tarnish our name with these different companies. So we stopped it, you know, and then we said, okay, well, we'll start. Because we wanted people to be able to take advantage of these opportunities. So if we would just stop giving the number out, you know, when we're telling our friends and family what we're getting, and they're saying, you know, how do I get in? At that point, I would have to say, you can't. So that won't sit well with me either. So at that point, you know, say, okay, so you give me your money, I'll give it to them. So you go through me. So that's kind of how Harmony Village 100 was born, you know. And the reason we put the 100 on the end is because when we were here, we locked down the name Harmony Village, because that's what we wanted. Originally, that's the neighborhood that David and I and our family grew up in, Harmony Village, back in Detroit. So we thought that was a fitting name. So we named it Harmony Village here, and then when we got back home that first round, we went to the offices to set up the business, And we put Harmony Village 100, and they were like, no, that's taken, you know?
No, Harmony Village was taken.
No, Harmony Village was taken, right?
Right.
So we put a 100 on the end of it, and we were able to secure that. But that's the reason why that 100 is there. We were going to change the name totally, but we thought it fitting to put a number on the back of there that kind of meant something, 100, you know? So,
So I understand that. And been through that before with trying to get a name established.
Sure.
Talk about your roles for a quick second before we begin to look at the packages and things like that, and who does what in terms of the two of you. You talked about Joseph earlier.
Okay, well, my role is I pretty much do all the communications with the liaisons we have here on the floor, and Chris pretty much does all the paperwork part of it.
Yeah, I have a computer background, so I'm always building spreadsheets and like the website. From my first visit here, which we stayed here all of April basically, and this thing was conceptualized. And I went back and I told all my friends and family, oh, we're gonna put a package together for you guys, blah, 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 you know. And I went and built the website in that 2 weeks. I'm talking, I was working 100 hours a week, it seems like, you know, just constantly. So I built the website, I do all the contract, drawing up the contracts and stuff like that. So I'm kind of like the clerical end guy, you know. And Dave is the guy who, he made this solid friendship with these guys when he was here the first time during COVID when I wasn't here, you know. So he has a good relationship with those guys, and he do all the communicating with them, you know. And I have a good solid friendship with them now that I've been back a couple of times myself. So that's how we kind of got our different roles, you know. One hand washes the other, kind of, so to speak, you know.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
I think I'd like to ask you now about the different packages and what I can participate in, and what would that look like?
Okay.
I'll let you start.
Okay. So basically, we get a commission, so to speak, not really a commission, say a finder's fee, from all of the partners that we have here, from the quinoa to the garlic to the chili. We get a commission. So what we're doing is, with that commission, we have bought insurance policy. So this was something that I didn't even know existed, insurance on agriculture. So what happens is if, and they don't cover war, riot, or flood. So what happens if we have an expected harvest, say of $1 again, and a flood comes through and wipes things out, then obviously it doesn't cover that. So we would kind of be at a loss, not 100% loss, because this is over hectares and hectares and hectares in different locations, and that's why we diversify with different companies, you know, in different locations with different products.
Hectares or acres?
Hectares. I'm so sorry if I said acres. I'm so
no.
Standard
You
system.
You said hectares.
Hectares. Yes, hectares. So hectare is about 2.5 acres.
Thank you. Okay.
Yes. Okay. So getting back to what I'm saying, I think I lost my train of thought there.
Oh, I'm sorry. You were talking about if there's the insurance, and if a situation occurs where if there's a flood.
Okay.
In this case, that's not covered. But you were saying it's very rare to have insurance.
Yeah, it's very rare. So yeah, that's rare. So the money that we are making is going back to pay for an insurance policy, because if I want to take my mother's money and my brother's money and my auntie's money, this was our target audience initially, before we had everybody around the world coming in. But if I'm going to take everybody's money, I better damn well be able to make sure that it's coming back, you know. And David and I, we've built our reputation up since kids with everybody. So everybody knows us, they love us, and they come running like anything we say is golden, basically, you know. So if people have that much faith in us, I'm going to make sure that everything I say comes to fruition 100%. But so as far as the contracts, the 1 year, the 2 year, and the 3 year contracts, back to your original question, we basically give, I would say 99% of the money that's going to be returned in the contracts back. So we would have been making money on the 5% had we not got that added protection. So right now, we aren't making much money off of this. It's just coming from the love. But in the future, we will tailor our 1 year, 2 year, 3 year packages so we can begin benefiting. We want to get a foothold first and let everybody eat, as we like to say, you know, get your money, and we can build from there. So that's the way we'll worry about getting some compensation later. You know, we haven't come out of our pocket too much. Like I said, I built the website, I did the contracts, so it hasn't cost us any money to get this far, you know. But at the point where it start costing money, then we would have to alter our program. So basically, the 1 year gives everything back. The 2.5 year partnership and the 3.5 year partnerships, because if you notice, they incrementally get higher.
Yes.
1.5 years a 30% APR, 2.5 years a 40% APR, the 3.5 year is a 50% APR. So with total 175% return, total return on the 3.5 year, which breaks down into 50% APR per year. So like I said, right now we're giving all the money back in the short term. So this is like we are building momentum. So this is the stage where it's it is best for people to get in at, because the returns won't be this lucrative, say maybe 2 years from now. So
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
So there's the three packages, and there's the 1.5 year, 2.5 year, 3.5 year, and the percentage of return on the 1.5 year is
30%.
30%, and then 2.5 years,
40%.
40%, 3.5 years,
50%.
50%.
Yes.
And what is my minimum investment to get started?
The minimum investment to get started is 5,500 USD. So that's the minimum. And we set that minimum because we started to say 1,000, but as we talked about, there's a minimum with all of the agricultural companies, you know, and the minimum is 35,000. So we started off with the 1,000 because we had told all of our friends and family about this, and everybody had 1,000. So we would have been able to meet the minimum with no problem. But then after thinking more and more about it, we said, well, we don't want just, you know, that's a whole bunch of paperwork on our end, you know, like my wife does paperwork, his wife does paperwork. And if we have 150 people coming in with $1,000, that's a ton of paperwork, you know?
Yeah.
So we set a $5,500 limit. It's like, we started to do 5,000, but we just threw an arbitrary $500 in there. Let us know people are serious. If you give up 5,500, you're serious about doing business, and we don't want just anybody. Let's say that we want to select people who are interested in their family, their wealth, their, you know, just not anybody, basically.
Well, thank you for that. What would the characteristics of your ideal investor look like?
The characteristics of my ideal investor would be someone who is interested in our growth as a people. You know, I don't want to say a Black American or African, but just our growth as a people. And they are interested in growing themselves, their own personal wealth, maybe even reinvesting and speaking to their community about this opportunity and raising some eyebrows, you know, so people can change their mindset and not think that they only have what's available in the States or what's available to the mainstream, because that's definitely not the case, you know, definitely not the case. We need to change people's mindsets. So if it's somebody who's going to invest $1,000, if we had set that minimum, they're going to do nothing but sit around, and they're going to call me 10,000 times saying, you know, okay, where's my money? Where's my money? You know,
Yes.
Asking all these questions. But a person who has 5,500 are more established, and they know what they're doing, you know. So, and I think they're going to move our agenda forward. That's what I believe. Yeah.
And also another general characteristic that I would like our investors to have is someone who genuinely wants to help the continent of Africa, because we all know this continent has been raped and robbed for forever, you know.
Yes.
So we just want people that's genuinely willing to help the continent, because ultimately that's what their dollars are going to do. They're going to create jobs and help this continent grow.
Yeah.
So that's another important characteristic we want them to have.
And I think what's interesting is having conversations with some of the people here and in Tanzania, direct conversations. They are excited about folks coming from the diaspora coming here and sharing our wealth, sharing our expertise, sharing our skill set with them to help move the continent forward. Right. They're looking for us, and it seems like you have a vehicle to really help bridge the gap between what we want to do, who are the diaspora, and what the folks on the continent want to do in terms of moving forward.
Yes.
You're the bridge in between the two to make that happen.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, yeah. So yeah, that's definitely good to know, And speaking of bridges, we had a meeting on Monday, actually. No, it wasn't Monday, it was Friday because it was their Independence holiday here. And one of the partners who we're doing business with now propositioned us to be the, the ambassador in the U.S. And they would actually give us a stake if we could get them a foothold in the U.S. market. So that is something that's not really in my wheelhouse. But I told them, I thanks for the consideration. We're going to go home. We're going to speak to some people we know, because at home we know that Whole Foods is big and stuff like that. So we're going to speak to some people that we know about getting their products, chia seed and chia byproducts, chia butter, all this stuff into the American market. So we have to have another meeting. Actually, this meeting is going to be this Friday as to what does this mean as far as a stake in their company and what are all of the parameters surrounding this. So in a nutshell, these African companies are really interested in bridging that gap between here and the U.S. because if they get into the U.S., we are consumers there, and like they told us, their market here is big, but if they could get a foothold in the U.S., that would probably become their biggest market. So yeah, they're definitely interested in bridging that gap. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. I'd like to ask, and at the end, you all will have the final say and say whatever you would like to say. But I'm wondering, was there any story that you did not get to share that you wanted to share? Was there any challenge or problem that you faced that you thought, well, I think I will share that now? Or any other miscellaneous type item? Was there something we missed?
What would you say? Anything? I can't really think of anything that's been.
I don't know if it's anything that you guys missed, but I will tell you something about myself as far as how we were, just kind of to back up a little bit, how we was talking about being programmed, What it took me to get over is seeing people like me and my sons and them running the businesses here. So it was a shocker for me the first time when I went to the RDB.
Yes.
And there was a guy there. Well, actually, 3 people. It was a a satellite office, not the main building. We went to one of the satellite offices that they have around.
Tell what the RDB is.
Oh, that's the Rwanda Development Board.
Yes.
Yeah. So when I went to the RDB, the first guy that came up to us to help us, he was a brother, and he was probably maybe 21, and he had a hoodie on, and he was sitting there. He had jeans and a hoodie. And I was like, whoa, and he's asking us for social security numbers and stuff like this. And by my programming, I was so skeptical and taken aback. I was like, I told my brother, I'm like, man, I don't know. We probably want to go to the main building. And the other girl assured me that we were in the right place. But man, this young guy, he took care of business so professionally, blew my mind because the appearance that I saw was not what I'm conditioned to seeing. So that's something that I really, I had to grapple with, but I understand now that it's not about a certain look, and it's about how people take care of business ultimately, Yeah. So I'm programmed to see a suit and tie, a briefcase. So anyway, that's something that I had to get over. I'm not 100% over it, but I tell you, I feel a lot more comfortable now going up doing business with somebody who is dressed down and look like me and my kids look, So that's something that I had to get over.
Oh, that's a great story. Thank you.
Yeah.
See, me and him are a little different because it didn't bother me at all.
Oh, okay. Really?
It
Not at
didn't
all.
bother me at all.
Yeah.
You don't come with any preconceived notions or anything like that.
Africa, you can't. This is not the U.S.
And I'm just being open and honest
And I
about
think-
it.
yeah.
So yeah.
But that story, I think, and the way you two approach the same thing is interesting because that's what this is all about, because there's opportunity. You drew the link back to how we're thinking. I'm telling my friends, I'm sending out links to your slides, your PowerPoint presentation, the one that you did, and others. And folks are skeptical, you know what I mean?
Absolutely.
But we're trying to go somewhere where we've never been before.
Yes.
So you can't connect it with, you've never been there before.
Yes.
And it requires a mind shift.
Yes.
So,
and the skepticism is definitely understood and kind of appreciated. I had a conversation with a gentleman this morning. You know, he wanted to partner. Now, by the way, we've partnered with two people from the United States since we've been here on this trip. You know,
wow.
through the e-notary and stuff like that.
Yes.
So we got a guy today. He wants to partner with us, but I told him, you know, we must receive the funds first, and then we'll draw up the contract and stuff like that. And he's like, you know, no, I'm not sending my money, you know, before we can have a signed contract. So, you know, I just explained to him the reason why, because we get hundreds of people a week from all around the world. And I think what's happening is Ty Nichols' videos, you know, he has a far reach. You know?
Yes, he does.
So we get hundreds of people per week that say we want to partner with Harmony Village. But after we filter them out, it's 4, you know. So I was explaining this to the guy, and I was like, if we draw up a contract with all the people that say they want a partnership, and get the e-notary, who costs, by the way, $65 each time.
Oh, I know about that. Yes.
We would be out of thousands of dollars. And once you sign the contract, it says, I, XXX, have given Harmony Village 100 XXX amount of dollars, and we are now in a partnership. So once that is signed and stamped and sealed by the notary, I'm obligated, you know? So I was telling him, you know, that this is the process. And maybe if we had a phone conversation, we could make some concessions, you know, because everyone that comes over during the week, over the email, you know, you have bots writing emails and stuff nowadays, AI technology.
Yes. Oh, yeah.
So if I write up a contract, if I have my wife write up a contract for 3 hours for 1,000 people every week, and then start scheduling these remote notary sessions, nobody's showing up. So that's why I was explaining to him that, we initially started this, and I actually wanted to have a phone conversation with him, you know, because you can only get so much accomplished on the computer.
Yeah.
But I told him we actually started this endeavor with our friends and family only, because we know our reputation with our friends and family, and we know what we're trying to do here. Basically, we're trying to get you to give us your money for us to give it to a company in Africa, which is not going to sit well with anybody outside of our immediate family. So that is the reason why we started this push with our immediate family. And it grew faster than we ever known. And there's tons of people around that don't care about that, you know, and it comes, I think, from the videos. They can see our sincerity, but we have tons of people who don't care about that. They'll send you their money first, you know, and sign the contract later. Mm-hmm. So anyway, yeah, that's just a little point that I was trying to make there.
Yeah, that's a very important point. It resonates with me because here we are, you're sitting in this house. You've been in this neighborhood when we were just talking and you walked around. So they wanted 6 months in advance. Yeah, y'all going, and some might ask for a year in advance. These things are kind of what we're not used to from a U.S. perspective, maybe, I don't know, UK or what's happening in the Caribbean, whatever. But I think it was going on down there too. But the perspective in Africa, the continent, is this is a cash society. This is not charging and credit and none of that stuff is, well, I'll stop there. But anyway, and so there's this relationship that gets built and you make things happen. So now we've moved on beyond our 6 months here at this house, and you can begin to go to on a quarterly or maybe a month to month. So what I'm saying is what you just related to me, I'm thinking, well, no, that's the way it goes. You're going to give them money. There are other things that we have gotten ourselves involved in where we sent the money and then the contract follows, and it does state, as you said, you have given us this money. I hope that people are able to hear your hearts and able to understand the concepts and what you're talking about, that they can make the shift in mindset. Because actually, my position is that, and you may disagree or agree, but that the T's and C's or the technical aspects of something are not really what it is. It's really about whether or not you mentally are ready to do that thing. If you think you can, or if you think you cannot. Either way, you're right. And if you don't have the heart for it, then you don't have the heart for it.
Right.
But you've told us what success looks like. So we're going to get ready to wrap this up. But what I want to do is make sure that if there were any things, was there something I should have asked you that I didn't ask you, and or final thoughts from both of you?
No, you hit it all on the head, man. Just thank everybody, like we're doing this for you guys. Like my brother said, we're not really making that much money. We just want to open up this opportunity to everybody, and just let everybody know, man, Africa needs the diaspora here, so we're here to help, so that's our main purpose is helping,
Yeah, and when you see all the kids that you help per hectare, it's phenomenal. Like we were out there yesterday all morning. We came back with red dirt all over us, shaking hands with children and waving at ladies and all kind of stuff. So it makes us feel really good to be able to help. And we also want to grow our own community. Like back home, all of our friends work at Ford, Chrysler, GM, and those are awesome jobs. Most people can't get those type of jobs. They're awesome. But at the same time, they're breaking us down, they're overwhelming us with the hours and stuff like that. And they're keeping all of the good opportunities for themselves in their pocket. So now David and I, Harmony Village 100, we've discovered a means to an end. We've discovered an out to that. And we're just trying to offer it to everybody who's willing to take advantage of it. I mean, this here is the way to go. Yeah.
Say your website again for me, please.
HarmonyVillage100.com.
Excellent. Thank you, gentlemen.
You're welcome.